Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon, not only am I joined by Sean Connolly, but Kevin McCluskey has decided I'm getting in on the action. Kevin, you probably regret that you've made that decision after that first half. It was particularly poor. I'm going to be obviously looking at the incidents, of which there have been a few big calls made in that first half. But sum up the first half for me. First of all, Kevin McCluskey.
Yeah, it's not been our best first half. It's not been a vintage first half from a Celtic perspective. But do you know what? I'm going to give St Mirren quite a lot of credit, I think, for how that first half has gone, because I listened to the pre-match show between you, and I think you were quite right to highlight Stephen Robinson and the impact that he's made at St Mirren. There was actually a stat that came out before the game, or a graphic rather, of stats that came out before the game, where he's basically improved St Mirren across every aspect. Points per game, goals against per game have all improved since he came in as manager. And you can see that the way that they set up today, they had a structure where they were just going to make it very difficult for us to play. They have done. They've closed down the space. All our normal passing lanes have been closed down, and we've really struggled to come up with a solution to break through. The few times that we have, it's been kind of moments of brilliance, really. Little flicks inside the box, fast movement, which we need to get more of, because I think we've been really slow and laboured in that first half. But yeah, I mean, losing a goal in the first couple of minutes doesn't help. But in a way, it shouldn't change the game plan, because there's still 80-odd minutes to play. I just think we've been flat, we've been poor. We haven't been helped by some of the refereeing decisions, but we should be strong enough still going into the second half that with a man advantage, we should be looking still, I think, to claim the 3 points.
Yeah, Jungle Lion says exactly that. We've been flat today, need a spark. And we've also got Stephen Stone, who doesn't think we're going to score 2, even though we're up against 10 men in the second half. I disagree with that, Stephen, and obviously we'll find out near the end of the game if that is the case. But I'm going to come to yourself before we look at the individual incidents, Sean. It has been a flat first half. St Mirren have played the way we expected them to play, whereby when we've got the ball in the midfield, they've got 10 men behind the ball. And, you know, it is very difficult to find the wee pockets of space, as Kevin says. I think Johnson's done it a few times in behind the fullback for Jota to run into. And unfortunately, the final ball hasn't really been good enough from that aspect. But we thought we had the breakthrough just before half-time. Ange was left shaking his head. Sum up that first half.
Yeah, I'm actually going to... I know I was praising Stephen Robinson before, but I'm going to retract that for that performance. St Mirren don't deserve any praise for that performance. They got a lucky penalty after 3 minutes, and then they actually did still stick to their game plan for about 10 minutes after that, and then they just parked the bus. Every time that they committed a foul, which they've committed 10 of, they kick the ball away or pick it up and run away with it, which the referee was letting them away with, even after Callum McGregor spoke to the referee. It's embarrassing football. It is not the sort of thing that deserves any praise whatsoever. So I'm not giving Stephen Robinson any credit for that. I get they want to get 3 points, but I guess this is... even when we lost 2-0 to them back in October, they weren't this abject and embarrassing. So it's very frustrating to watch from my perspective. We are creating chances, not as many as we'd normally like to, and not as many as we'd expect to when we're so used to having the lead. But, you know, Jota had a chance. It was a great save. There was the Hatate one where he hit the crossbar, and we'll talk about the penalty thing in a second. But apart from that, I thought, yeah, most of some of the players are running ideas. We are getting space in behind Small on the left back. We are managing. He's not the best defender, so we are finding space in the channel there. But every time we get a space out there through Johnson, Moy, or Jota, it's always just ball to the back post, which is Maeda versus Strain, and it's going nowhere. That's pretty much sums it up, I think.
Yeah, you know, there was a few moments we've been obviously bigging up Kyogo, and I'm not looking to hook anybody at half-time. I know there's a few people who disagree with that in the comments section, but this is the kind of game that you're looking at the introduction at some point of to give you a wee bit more of a, if that is the ball we're playing, Sean, a wee bit more of a target in the box. And I think that, you're talking there about Robinson's game plan and then parking the bus. It's all the wee niggly bits, isn't it? The fact that, the ball goes out for a Celtic throw-in and it takes an age for us to get the ball, and it just slows everything down for us. We like to get normally there is somebody there to throw the ball back at you, but no. And you can see that wee frustration with Johnson. You're right, Callum McGregor had a word with the referee because it was so obvious that they were doing these kind of tactics in terms of delaying things every single time there was a foul. And, this is what we're up against. We're at halftime. We're up against all of that, all the dark arts that they can possibly throw at us to try and get points, as well as what I can only describe as shambolic use of the rules and the VAR system. And we need to talk about that as well. It gets to the point sometimes that even if the right decision's made, you're asking yourself, why wasn't Celtic's penalty checked? And in the first instance, I don't know what better view the ref could have got. Let's start off with the first one, right? I don't know how better a view the ref could have had of Greg Taylor and the handball that resulted in the penalty. Kevin, why then did it take 3 minutes for a VAR check? And I didn't mean it took 3 minutes for the VAR check. It took 3 minutes for us to go to VAR. I mean, that was bizarre. It was a bit shambolic, if you ask me.
Yeah, I've got no idea why there would be such a delay in actually taking it to the VAR. The whole point of it is that it's kind of checked instantaneously by whoever's doing the VAR, wherever they are. And if there's a contentious decision, the game's kind of stopped, I think, and pulled back, and the ref gets his chance to go and look at it. I don't know why it's taken them 3 minutes to do so. But as soon as the ref goes over to have a look, that they're given the decision. So whether, it's a in that case, usually he's given the penalty. And you can argue the merits of it. Is it a penalty? Is it not? The ball hits Taylor's hand. So I guess it's a letter of the law. Ball hits a player's hand in the box, penalty. But there's no intention by Taylor at all to move his arm towards the ball. As it said in commentary, his arm's in a kind of natural position for how he was defending the situation.
Yeah.
It's a very bizarre one. The whole thing, the time it's taken to get there, and then the actual decision itself. And we can point to so many instances throughout the season where we've had the exact same thing but go against us. And I'll just take the one at Hearts right at the very start of the season. It's the exact same. In fact, it's even worse because the Hearts player moves his arm towards the ball and the penalty's not given. We had the one against Matt O'Reilly. I think it was it against
Ross County?
Mirren, Ross County. That's the one. Yeah, it's the exact same. The ball's flicked up against the player's hand and he can't move it out of the way. So now does it become a tactic every time you're in the box? Just flick it up against the defender's hand and you'll get a penalty. I think it makes a mockery of the rule, but that's just my opinion. And maybe it's because it's gone against us this time.
I'm going to come to you, Sean. The way I looked at that was that Greg Taylor was standing in what would appear to be a natural position. As soon as he himself has realised that the ball is heading towards his arm, if anything, he's tried to pull his arm into his body and turn it round. You've seen him trying to do that. I'm going to ask your balanced view on this one first before we move to the Celtic one, Sean.
On the Greg Taylor one, any complaint with that one should be around the rule, not around the refereeing. Because according to all the rules, that is a penalty. His arm is away from his body, and even when it does hit his arm, he then motions his arm towards the ball to create actually a second contact as well. So he actually handballs it twice technically, and the second one is a movement towards the ball. So by every interpretation, that is a penalty. And as soon as I seen the replay, I was like, yeah, that's a pen. Any complaint about that should be at the rule, not at the referee in that instance.
But the ref's seen it as well, Sean. That's frustrating, isn't it? The
Yeah,
fact that we play for 3 minutes, the ref has seen it is like you've just said there, the ref's aware of the rule, as are you. He's seen it in plain sight, and it's taken an age for that to then get called back and for the penalty to be given. So, fair play.
They should be able to stop playing, restart with a drop ball or something like that.
Yeah. And then the second one, the big man, Big Ange, he looks perplexed. He doesn't look as though he's panicking, and he's standing on the sideline shaking his head, and I'm pretty sure we were doing something similar or maybe worse. We get the penalty, we think to ourselves, I'm certainly sitting here, and I didn't want to sound like Charlie Nicholas. I'm sitting here thinking, right, we've got the red card, and everything that they've done, the wall that they've built, we're going to just pick away at it now. We're going to win this game. Starting off by getting the equaliser. Moyes got the ball at the penalty spot, but no, we don't get the penalty. What is the situation with that one? Is it the initial contact or the contact that's brought him down, the final contact, Sean? Where are you on the Celtic penalty decision?
Well, obviously you can't hear what the Andrew Dallas is saying, but the way they've replayed it, it's pretty clear that he's interpreting it as Ryan Dunn, whatever, Charles Dunn, sorry, is let go of Kyogo before he's got in the box and is therefore saying the foul is outside the box. I think that's a bad, like you watch it a few times and you're still kind of, which to me means the more blatant problem here is that this is not a clear and obvious error, that Andrew Dallas has taken the liberty of re-refereeing the game and overturned.
And just for my own sanity, why didn't the ref go and have a look at it?
You wouldn't normally for something like that, the same way they wouldn't go to check an offside. It'd be more for things where, I want you to have a second look at this because it's about your opinion. Position on a pitch, where something occurs on a pitch, is not opinion-based.
So we've got Andrew Dallas overturning the initial decision. St Mirren, though, down to 10 men. We've got Ange Postecoglou in the dressing room there, Kevin. What do we do? Because I'm actually of the view that there are some criticisms, individual players getting criticised in the comments, not being enough in the game. But in terms of the game itself, where the game has been played, if you want to look at the heat map, it has been all Celtic. I mean, we have dominated the game. We just haven't crafted enough chances. Coming up against 10 men with the same approach, I would hope that within the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, you do make that breakthrough. And if not, you have the luxury of a very strong bench. Is that the way Ange is going to look at this one, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the past, Ange has been kind of reluctant to make changes at half time. He's usually given the boys the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half to either kind of close a game out if we're in front or pull a game back in if we're behind or drawn. But today, I don't know, it's maybe just me, I've got a feeling that he will make changes. I think if it was me, I would make changes, and that's probably why I'm thinking just that. And it's just because I think there's been too many flat performances in the first half. I'm kind of going against Sean a little bit and saying that I'll give St Mirren some credit for the fact that the way they have parked the bus, that's for sure, but the way they've done it, they've just blocked us off and stopped us from playing. But then the way we're trying to play around it isn't working. That ball, as you say, from Johnston to the back post to Maeda isn't working every time. So we need to maybe get a bit more physical player in there, so you could bring O on. But I'd like to see Haksabanovic come on for the second half, because I think he's shown in the last few games that he's come on, he's pretty direct, he's got the quick feet, he's got the movement, and he'll just offer us something a little bit different that could, I hope, open up the St Mirren defence. So for me, I would actually like to see some changes made at halftime, just freshen things up, bring a bit of urgency into the play, even into the midfield, where I think Moy's been off it today. Just change things up, freshen it up, and see. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if Ange did leave it to the hour mark, because that seems to be his trademark.
Yeah. I mean, North London Celtic, I agree what you say there. It doesn't allow the instance to excuse an awful performance. We haven't been, our usual self. We have been flat in that first half, without a doubt. And often at halftime, you think to yourself, let's freshen it up. Loads of people in the comments agree with you, Kev, talking around getting Haksabanovic back into the fray. There's also a few comments in there saying bring off Maeda for Abada as well and switch Jota out to the left. I thought in terms of what we were actually gaining up top, I thought Jota was involved in most of that, but he is getting a fairly hard time in the comment section as well. Is this something, we have seen it before, Tony, whereby we've played two up top? Is that something you think he would do? That seems at this stage almost like a last throw of the dice. I can't see it at this particular stage, Sean.
It's what I would be doing right now, to be honest, because St Mirren are not changing their system. Instead of having two target men, they've now got one, and everything else is the same. So in this, we're not used to playing against 10 men. It does not happen often for us. But in this case, I'd be looking at Starfelt off and O on and going, just Carter Vickers can take care of Curtis Main in his own. Honestly, that is what I would do right now. But I'm seeing in the comments that Abada's coming on. Not sure if that's the case or not.
Right. It will be an interesting second half. This is at this point that Celtic again have to show our character, which we have done many, many times under Ange Postecoglou. We were talking all about the last game at people call it New St Mirren Park. I still call it Love Street, right? So we were talking about that last time round, wearing that grey kit. No, we do not want a repeat of that. Let's turn it around in the second half. Kevin, Sean and I will be here at half-time. And as many are saying in the... At full time, yes, at full time. Many are saying in the comment section, that this is something that we can overturn, and I'm hoping that we can. So yeah, Turnbull, Abada, says George. Let's see how the second half transpires. All that's left for me to say, Kevin McCluskey and Sean Connolly, thank you again for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Yeah.
Cheers.